I just died in your arms tonight. Captain Paul from the locker room. Let's talk about it. Bruins have not looked great at recent games. It's just downright unimpressive. And there's been trade talks about the Boston Bruins maybe acquiring Pettersson or JT Miller from the Vancouver Canucks. And Miller's got a no movement clause. Doubt he would come to Boston with how currently things are going. But let's just kind of float out the possibility of the Bruins being able to get Pettersson. How much are you willing to give up to get a guy like Pettersson who has a 100-point season underneath his belt and is still very young? For me, I don't trust the Bruins drafting. I don't even really trust their development with how I've seen how certain young players have come along. If I am the Boston Bruins, I do everything in my power to acquire Pettersson. He's a proven NHL product. He would help give you a lot more depth down the middle and give you some more offensive scoring punch to maybe, just maybe, salvage this offensively inept Bruins team. And some non-factors for certain fans would be, well, you can't trade Matthew Poitras, you can't trade this. If I could get Pettersson, I'm trading a couple first-round picks, Poitras, and whatever other prospect they want to acquire a sure thing at the NHL level. The Bruins drafting has been just admittedly kind of dog shit. I mean, the pick last season, Dean Letourneau, and he's only a freshman, so maybe he can turn around. He's been kind of meh with the Boston College Eagles, but he is a freshman, so I'm hoping he kind of finds his footing. But looking at Sweeney's draft history, well, yes, there's the occasional nice gets. It leaves you wanting more. You know, I mean, their most successful recent first-round pick really comes to mind is probably Johnny Beecher, and he's just a very competent fourth-line player. And you need that at the NHL level, but they have missed out on some amazing talent in recent drafts, and I think it's just a thing that constantly hurts the Bruins because they have nothing in their pipeline. So Sweeney, if he's not going to be jettisoned into the sun for his lack of success in drafting, they need to start using their draft capital to trade for sure thing NHL talent, in my opinion. Because I have no confidence with this team that they'll be able to get someone noteworthy in the draft. I just do not believe that to be the case. And if you bring in an established NHLer, there's no foolishness of just sending them back down to the AHL. You're going to have to let them ride it out. And I think Pettersson immediately would be a massive upgrade and give the Bruins a little bit more promise for the future. They would have something to build around and maybe go out there in free agency and lure in some free agents of some note that, hey, like, we have some good talent here. You could be the piece that helps get us over the top. I know Bruins fans love Matthew Poitras. I love Matthew Poitras. He's been lighting it up at the AHL level, but I don't think he'll ever be that guy that's going to be scoring 100 points in this season. I mean, maybe he does. Maybe he proves me completely wrong, but I would just rather the sure thing. And he's your most attractive asset, and if you could get him, if you could trade, Poitras with some draft capital to acquire a guy like Pettersson, I think it's a no-brainer. Because, yes, Poitra's a cheaper deal, but let's have that conversation. Is Poitra's ceiling going to be Pettersson's ceiling? Probably not. Poitras could be a very good second-line center, maybe even an adequate first-line center. But Pettersson has shown at the NHL level, he can flirt around that elite level. The one thing for me is that I'm not terribly upset about this season. I understand that we've had a long run of success in the Bruins organization. As a fan, it's been a pleasure to watch some legends like Bergeron, Marchand, Zdeno Chara raise the Stanley Cup and bring home that glory. And while there was other years they went to the Stanley Cup Finals and lost against the Blackhawks, against the Blues, for all intents and purposes, you can't complain as a fan because all good runs come to an end and there's going to be that transition period. And that's kind of what I think the Bruins are at this point. Nobody expected them last year to be as good as they were. They surprised a lot of people, myself included. So I'm not angry this season. I just think for the future of the team, it'd be a wise decision to, if you can acquire a young center, a young player like Pettersson, and have him under some contract term, I think it's in the best interest of the Bruins. I Pettersson and Pasternak, maybe you put them together, maybe you don't. But regardless if you do, it helps lengthen the lineup and slots in a lot of Bruins players that are truly more third line players more correctly where they should be in the lineup. But hey, that's just kind of my thoughts. I'd like to know your thoughts down below in the comments section. What do you believe the Bruins should do, going forward? And a quick aside, actually, Michael DiPietro, a guy that has tremendously turned around his career since coming in the Bruins organization. Is he a guy maybe next year? And I know Korpisalo is under contract. Let's say you make a deal and you move him. Is DiPietro a guy that you would consider giving him some NHL action next season? Just some food for thought. Let me know your thoughts. I'm Captain Paul. I'll see you in the next one.